Hey guys, welcome to the Model Citizen Podcast. We're your hosts, Hunter and Michaela. We are so excited to have you here. All right, let's dive in.
It took too long for you to call back.
Honestly, like that.
Except for the fact it was my birthday. My stupid
freaking
birthday. Hey
Dude.
guys.
Hi.
Hi everyone. Hunter's chewing. So, oh my God, I should have brought my pumpkin spice Stanley up here.
How are you not using it? You're using pink and it's fall. It's like you can't do that.
You
have to switch. Stanley, and here's the thing. Can I tell you something? I used to be like, I don't get the Stanley thing.
Yeah.
And now I fully get the Stanley thing. I do, because here's the thing. Water bottle, and this is not sponsored by Stanley. I wish it was.
No, not at all. Don't we wish?
Water, like my water bottle, it is now a part of me.
Oh, yes.
It is
it's an
my
extension of all
third
of us.
arm. It is literally my crutch. If I leave my house without it for some reason, my day is bad.
It's bad, dude.
And all of a sudden, I'm the thirstiest I've ever been.
I also can tell, like, I don't know if you've seen on TikTok how people have like the additions to the Stanleys. They're like the cups, and then they put like the things on top, and then like little bags that they attach to that. No, I don't have that. But at first, I was like, "This is like so dumb," and then I was like, "Is it, or is it the most brilliant thing ever?"
It's brilliant.
Anything that women do is the most brilliant thing. Like if a woman adds a bunch of shit to something, I'm like, there's a reason it's all here. And I have to check my inner, like, I don't want to say misogynist, but sometimes I feel like every time we look at girly things, we're like brainwashed to think, oh, that's such a waste, or that's so silly. And then it's like, is it though? Or does this make your experience 10 times better?
Yeah.
Because you have a little tray that fits right on top of your Stanley, and you can go sit down and you can put all the snacks on the tray and drink and snack and drink and snack. And that's the best thing ever.
How about the little backpack for it where you put your cards in it and a key? All you take in is your water bottle. So then I don't have to sit here and lug my phone underneath my armpit.
No.
And I just put it in there in my card and we're good to go on a home goods run. Like, here's the thing is like, I am a hater turned absolute mega fan. So that's that. I have the pumpkin spice color. I absolutely love it. They're releasing the Barbie colors and I got them early.
You did?
I have 2 of them, yeah. And we should bring them to the White House because they're so cute. They're like
not us bringing our Stanleys to the White House.
I know, dude. Not us going to the White House this week. I cannot wait to chat about that. But
you guys, literally, Model Citizen Podcast goes to the White House. Like, did you guys
ever
think it
fun
was going to happen? Yes, it's a very serious topic as to why we're going, but I think that like it's important to bring as much attention and like eyes to it, and I think that the more dynamic of people that are involved, the more eyes are going to be on it. Not me calling us dynamic, but you know what I mean.
Sorry that we are dynamic.
The song I sang at the beginning of this is an Easter egg.
Yes.
Okay. Yes. We're gonna call it an Easter egg.
Yes. We are nothing if not a Taylor Swift.
It's a hint, if you will.
Yes.
Yeah. We're in our White House political era.
Dude, I really am in my political area. It's very funny.
I'm just waiting for a review that's like, they're too political now, or they talk too much politics. And then I'm going to be like, I know, but like, it's so important right now, you guys.
You also get in tomorrow, and we're having a Hotties for Harris watch party.
Yeah, we are. I'm getting off the plane on into your house for the Hotties for Harris campaign.
What time do you land again? 4:30. So you're gonna have time.
Well, I'm not telling anyone because, I guess when this goes out, I'll have already landed.
Yeah. Yes.
4:30 I land. 4:30.
You think you're gonna have fans waiting?
Alaska. It's not the fans. It's not the fans, okay? Because the fans are going to be there being respectful as they always are. Okay. I'm worried about the stalkers, my many, many stalkers.
Yeah.
You know?
No, I understand.
And if you're there and you're like good looking, I mean, Alaska flight 282, 4:30 p.m. Newark.
Not Alaska, dude.
Alaska, bro.
Not Alaska flight.
How are you? I see you are just so fall right now. You've got You've got
Because it's
the
freezing here.
plaid shirt. You've got your pumpkin spice colored Stanley. I
My red
am.
nails.
You've got red nails.
Yeah.
I am
Here's the thing.
still so in summer. It's 100, and I'm not exaggerating. It's 103 degrees out today.
That is absolutely absurdity. For some
Insane.
reason here, it just switches overnight. Like it was summer and now it's fall. It's not like
Yeah.
a gradual
Yeah.
thing. It just goes like that. And then this morning we woke up and it was 47 degrees in the morning. And then it gets gorgeous. It's like 70, but like we contemplated putting our heat on today. I'm not kidding you.
Oh my I actually can't even fathom. I
I
can't
know.
fathom that. New Jersey really got the memo about the seasons.
They did, dude.
I've been like in a perpetual state of sweating for probably the last 8 months, like just a
Yeah.
little bit hot for
More
the
like
last
36 years.
basically, yeah.
Yeah.
I have to say though, like if you don't believe in global warming, come to my town.
Yeah.
Come live here for 3 months
Yeah.
and you will be shocked to your core why a fucking suburb outside of LA is the same temperature as legitimately Death Valley in the 70s. It
It
doesn't make any sense. It doesn't need to be
doesn't add up.
105. Do you remember growing up and it being 105, 110 out
Dude,
here?
seeing 100 degrees was like a big thing. Like I
It
remember
was a
being like, "Oh
huge
my
thing.
god."
Mhm.
Now it's like there's weeks and weeks and weeks out there that it goes 100
No,
and plus.
it's actually the most insane thing. But you know what? I'm coming there and I'm bringing my plaid. I'm going to
You
bring
know
my
that when you
leather
come here it's going to be
jackets.
hot. I just know it.
I know. Well, I looked at the weather and
Yeah, it's going to be
I
nice.
fear,
Um
I fear
I fear. I
we are
fear.
looking at some really interesting ups and downs. And God forbid I don't get sick, because I learned recently that it is actually very true that if you go from one extreme to another, your body does get sick. Like you can get,
Really?
yeah. So if you go from like extreme heat to like pretty, like substantially colder and vice versa, it can really affect your health.
Really? Why do people do like saunas and cold plunges then?
Because
Randomly that.
that's not like the weather, that's like momentarily. But if you go from like being in really hot weather to now going and being in really cold weather for days and days, it just fucks with your system, I guess.
Mm,
It's like instead of like a little quick thing, it's like a full body,
got it.
reset.
Let's talk about the weather more. I
Well, for
wanna
anyone that's still listening, which is probably nobody at this point,
I wanna
God, wait, can I just say really quickly? Okay, here's the
emphasize.
thing. Because we're gonna talk about something really fun today. But
Yeah.
I wanted to talk about the fact that we've had a lot of Jehovah's Witnesses coming to our doors. And listen, it's all Gucci. I don't care what anyone believes, it's all good.
Yeah. That's interesting that they
But
still do that.
I have a sign on my door that says don't knock, don't ring the doorbell. Now that goes
Yeah.
for everybody. I don't care what your religion is, okay?
Yeah.
You could be my exact belief system.
Yeah.
Don't knock or ring anything. Don't knock on my door. Don't ring my doorbell. You're going to piss my dogs off. Okay.
Mhm.
It's a warning for you at the end
Mhm.
of the day.
It's not for
Okay.
you.
It's
Right.
not for me. I like when they bark at people. It's funny to
Right.
me.
Right.
So I've come to the conclusion that it's a lot of Jehovah's Witness and it's a
Mhm.
lot of,
UPS.
we'll call them Mormons. It's a lot of Mormons, and
You're
they
like,
come to
it's
my
a lot of
door.
Jehovah Witness, and let's say we'll call
We'll just,
them
for the sake of
Mormons.
argument, we'll call them Lormans. A lot
Yes.
of Lormans come in my door, and I'm getting really irritated because they don't adhere to the knocking thing. They don't listen. And I'm like, you know what? How can I keep these people off of my doorstep?
Yeah.
I think I may invest in, have you ever seen the like satanic door knockers that's like the goat with the anarchy thing on the forehead?
God, no, I haven't
I
seen
think
that.
I want to put one of those on my door.
Dude, they're going to
Because
come knocking even more.
no, they will be so terrified. Would you knock on a door that had that? I know damn well you wouldn't. You don't even want to think about that thing.
I don't remember the last time I've knocked or rang a doorbell. Okay.
Right. Because you're not crazy.
No.
The only thing that makes me think these people are crazy and unhinged is the fact that they're not listening to the door sign.
Yeah. Well, what you need to do is underneath your sign, you need to do, well, you know what it is?
Especially Jehovah's Witnesses, especially Mormons.
Do you know what we got? We got a thing that literally blocks the ringer.
Right. Yes.
It's literally
But what am I supposed to do? Block my door? How am I going to block my door?
You block the ringer.
But what about the door? Because they knock on the door.
Okay,
So
well
that's what I'm
then
saying.
I
So if they're
don't
going to go for the door knocker, they're going to look up and they're going to see a
get a shocker
satanic
thing.
goat with literally the anarchy. Yeah, a shot. Oh, God, that's actually a good idea. Just an
Yeah.
absolute, just like a
And then
shock-proof gate.
underneath just say, I told you with a sign once.
I told you with the sign once.
Fool you once, shame
on
on
me.
me.
Fool you
Fool you
twice.
twice, you're gonna get buzzed.
Fool me twice, and you know you're not going to fool me again. And that's a George Bush quote. So
Thank you.
I just really wanted to share that with you, share your thoughts.
Yeah, I like that. I think that's a nice
A
it's
nice
a
touch.
nice
Do you
kind
think
of
they sell it at Target?
yeah,
Do you think that
especially right now.
especially right now,
Halloween time.
do we think that Studio McGee sells something like that?
Yes. She's known for that. It's more of like one of her things that she's known for. And we've
Right.
always
Being
known that.
satanic. Yeah.
I
I have a theory about Joanna Gaines, but I'll share that another time. And it does have to
do
do with
not talk
Satan.
ill about Joanna Gaines or Studio McGee. I will absolutely drop kick you.
I know. Hunter is you
I'm
drink
a
from the cup.
stan.
You
I
drink it from the cup if
I really do, and the cup runneth over.
the cup is
Um,
runneth.
So Kayla had this idea for this episode a few weeks ago because I didn't realize that people like cared anymore about me being a mom. But then I posted. Did you see all the questions we got? That's not even like a third. I just sent
I'm
you.
overwhelmed. I'm overwhelmed.
I get like literally questions all the time about mom stuff. And I always am like, people don't care. But I think that they really do care.
Absolutely.
And so Michaela had this idea to do like what would you call it?
Well, I wanted to do like a Q&A, but this really spurned from the fact that I feel like I ask you questions a lot about mom stuff that I'm curious about that like I genuinely want to know answers to. And I think about them all the time because it's just there's just so much to it, you know?
Yeah.
And
Well, we
like
were
things
just
will
talking
pop
before
up
this
and
how like there's so many different parenting styles. Like we have friends who parent very differently than I do. And it's just so interesting, huh?
Yeah. And so I was like, we should do like a Q&A situation where I ask you questions. And we polled our audience and we asked you guys to write in if you had questions. Maybe you're a first time mom. Maybe you're a mom going from 1 to 2. Whatever questions you may have as a mom, I'm going to pose them to Hunter. And then we also have a bunch of like advice from other moms that we'll share at the end of the episode because I feel like that is always really helpful because it's just different perspectives.
Unsolicited advice is the best when you're a first. I'm just kidding.
It's absolutely. But I will say a lot of the advice given is like so good. And just so probably refreshing because
no, there's just
God, there's a lot out there.
Well, once we get into it, I'll mention a few things.
We'll preface this by saying that everyone has their own way of doing things. And unless you're like literally drop kicking your baby across, you know, a field, you're probably going to do the right thing.
Yeah, no way is
unless
wrong,
you're like jumping on a trampoline with your baby and they like fall out and you you try to aim for a basketball hoop. Like that's probably going to be not the thing to do, but anything other than that, right?
You're chilling, yeah.
You're pretty much good. So, okay. Yeah. So we're going to jump in and we're going to kind of ease into this. So for those that don't know, if this is your first time listening to our podcast, Hunter has 2 children, which is still like so wild to me because you're still my baby sister. So I'm just like, how do you have 2 kids?
I talk about this. I literally talk about this and think about this all the time. I'm like, I'm a mom of 2.
It's like disturbing. But so, okay. This was also a really like super asked question.
Okay.
What would you say is the best item that you paid for and why was it your nanny?
Dude,
what made your life so much easier and why was it your sweet nanny?
That part. Okay, that is the best thing I've ever paid for ever in my life.
Yes.
However, I know that the majority cannot afford that because it is
Right.
a luxury and I know that and I'm very
Yes.
grateful for that.
Right.
Pretty much all my paycheck goes there.
Yes.
The best item, it's funny. I think I surprised you. You told me you asked me this question a few weeks ago and I like surprised you with it because
Yep.
it's the one. Oh no, I didn't tell you. I was like, let me wait for the
Yes,
podcast.
yes, you were like, "Let's wait," because I was like, "Let's do an episode."
Yes.
Yes. Yes, yes, yes.
This is the thing that I think every new mom needs in their baby registry, and
Mhm.
every website in the entire world tells you not to buy it and tells you you don't need it. It's a waste of money. And that is a wipe warmer. So
That
literally,
shocked me to my core. Of all the things, I was like, of all the things. We're talking snooze, we're talking Nanits, we're talking
I mean, the Nanet's like a
swaddles.
given, but I think a
Yeah.
wipe warmer for me, okay.
Mhm,
It took my middle of the night, and I'm not kidding you. And
mhm,
like literally, it took my middle of the night changes. Okay, so here's the thing. I'm gonna set the scene for you.
mhm.
You shit yourself in the middle of the night, right?
Yeah,
That's
as I do.
already unpleasant. Okay.
Yes, it's so true.
Then your mom or dad is coming with you stressed with a freezing cold little tiny towels under your butt.
Mm, mhm,
So
mhm, yeah.
disturbing, right?
Yes, it is, it is.
It's like so like those they get like icy if the room's even a little bit cold.
No.
And how much more pleasant would it be a warm, cozy wipe in the middle of the
Mm,
night? You're like barely even woken up. What spurred it was my son, Hudson. Um he anytime the cold would hit him down there, he
mhm,
would pee everywhere. So finally I was like,
right.
okay, I'm going to get a wipe warmer and see if that makes a difference. And it changed my entire life. It changed
Wow.
my life
That is so
because
crazy to
he did it. And so I
right.
did it with my daughter and I use it for everything. It is literally the greatest thing in the world. I
How
love it.
many times did you get peed in the face having a boy?
Um,
Does the number not exist? Like, is it
only like
just
a
like a
handful.
handful? Mhm, 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 mhm,
Only a
mhm.
handful because I'm telling you, the wipe warmer, dude. Like, I'm such a mega fan of the wipe warmer because
Wow.
it's like the moment people are always like, oh, yeah, just wipe before you open the diaper and they'll pee a little. That's not a thing. I tried
Right.
it. Tried
Right.
it multiple times.
Right.
It's not a thing.
This is a scientific study that you did.
This is a scientific study.
Mhm.
I'm a scientist. I researched, I
Mhm.
interviewed women, one out of
Mhm.
one, me, and my research shows that's wrong.
1 out of 1
So,
women. Amazing. Well,
one out of one.
do you feel like that kind of is because my next question is the item that people told you not to get but was the most amazing. Would you say that it was that? And do you have like a number 2 of
Oh,
items
well, the
that like
Nanit is like my number one
okay.
as
But
well.
do people tell you not to get that? Or is that something that people really
No,
support? What would you say is the thing that people were like, don't get that, that you actually felt was
the
helpful?
snoo.
The snoo. That is such
Yeah,
a
the
point of
snoo.
contention between moms. They're like, the snoo
Dude,
didn't work. And then some people are like, the snoo saved my life. Isn't that
the
so
snoo
interesting?
either works or it doesn't. There is no in
Mhm.
between. That's the thing
Yeah.
about the snoo. It either works or it doesn't. You either have a baby who loves it, which it was
Mhm.
Hudson, and
Right.
Ava did not.
Right.
But the snoo was I literally had like anxiety when I had to move Hudson from the snoo because I was like, what's he gonna do? He's not gonna be rocked all night.
Right.
And then the thing that people get, and I think is like a gift that you shouldn't even give moms, and you're gonna hate this because it's your
Okay.
gift that you give people.
Oh God. What is it?
Swaddles.
Oh, swaddles. Yeah. Yeah.
You,
Yeah.
dude, I have 37 swaddles from so many people that I never touched.
Okay.
Never touched. You know why? Because now they make them these days where there's like Velcro ones that like you always
Right.
grab because they're just easier. It's so much quicker than having to like
So should
roll
you
your like.
get somebody a Velcro one, is what you're
I think
saying?
get your baby a Velcro one and
Okay.
only one. Everyone was like, your baby's gonna be, you're gonna be going through those swaddles. Like, and I'm like, my baby wasn't like, you know, like, yeah, they spit up, but considering you just never know. Hudson spit up so much, Ava hardly.
And also, like,
Remember?
how many times, like, how clean does it need to be? Like, I feel like if a
Right.
baby spits up a little bit on it, it's like, it doesn't, like,
Then like
you don't
so be
need to
it.
change it every time. I mean,
I know.
you know what I mean? Like,
Oh,
please.
one more thing that people told me not to get.
Okay.
People assured me. Assured me. They said, don't get newborn onesies. Please don't get 0 to 3 because they're going to grow out of it. Do not waste your money. Guess what? When both my kids had to come, guess what?
They
Not
were
only did I
naked.
have yeah, they're naked because not only did
Naked
they
the first 4 weeks of their lives.
not only did they not have newborn onesies, but they both needed preemie onesies.
Right.
Hudson
Yes.
needed preemie onesies for literally 2 months. And
Yeah.
I was stuck with like one newborn onesie when he came home and he was swimming in it. So I had to go out and buy preemie onesies, go out and buy newborn onesies. And I was pissed because I was like, what is this? Everyone told me not to buy these.
How many weeks did you have Hudson at?
I had him at 36 weeks.
And Ava?
Ava, I had at 38 and a half. Ava was way more fully cooked than Huzzy.
Right. And, you know, you could tell by the way they came out, you know?
Oh,
let's just
for sure.
real.
Hudson, I mean, yeah.
We
Ava
were looking at
with
photos yesterday of when Hudson was a baby, like a newborn, like fresh out, like that day.
Yeah.
And
he needed some more meat on him. He was like, here's the thing. Some babies come out and you're like,
no, he was perfect.
No.
He just looked like Wallace Shawn.
He looked like Wallace Shawn the actor, and every baby looked like Wallace Shawn the actor. But Ava came out with definitely more meat on her, and she was just like full.
Ava came out like an actual doll, is the thing.
No, literally.
And
I saw her
one
and I was
can
like,
ever tell me different. You were like, oh, this is the one. Okay. What is the item that you felt like you could have skipped? Besides, I guess, the swaddles. But here's the thing. One more question about the swaddles. Me trying to justify the fact that I always get that for people.
Yeah.
What do you wish people had gotten you more of?
Books.
Mm-hmm. I feel like people are nervous to get books because they feel like you're going to have like 85,000 books and everyone gets books. Is that not the case?
I literally only got like 3 books.
Is it because you're not a big reader, so no one thinks you're going to be interested in books for your
read to my children? It's funny because like I love books. Like, dude, if I could, I would have a whole room of a library just for my kids. Not for me, for my kids.
Right,
like I love like books. And I think books was something that I just didn't get a lot of.
Sent books in my defense. I did.
Yeah. I have like some Christmas books. This whole thing is just a shit on you.
Please, any of our listeners know, dude, I'm fucking Aunt of the Year.
Something that I could have skipped. The Duna.
What does that do? Is that the thing with
the Duna is that stroller that's also a car seat?
Oh.
As much as I loved it and it was very easy to use, it only lasted like 6 months and it was very heavy, and I would just rather have one that would last me. Like I still have my Uppa Baby Vista, which is like the go-to stroller. That should be your number one. No doubt about it. It's expensive, but it's going to last you all. My son is 3 and we still use it for him.
That was one of my questions because people really wanted to know what stroller that you preferred. And you would say it's the Uppa Baby.
Uppa Baby Vista. And it's so good. It's like the Cadillac of strollers. But and yes, it's expensive, but you're gonna be able to use it up until your kid is older.
I'm looking up
just
the price
nice.
of this thing. Jesus
how much is it?
Fucking Christ.
Yeah, how much is it?
$800. It goes all the way up to $1,100. It is okay, but here's the thing. You said it's the Cadillac of.
It's the Cadillac. So there's other really, really good ones as well. Don't not get me wrong.
But this is the one that's like you can.
This is the one.
Wow, the reviews are so good.
I know, dude, because you can
1,000 5-star reviews. Okay, all right. So this obviously the price. Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah. Okay, cool.
And you can feel it like when you're walking. Like I tell the difference. I have some other strollers too, and I always prefer that one.
Right. What is something that you wish people would invent as a mom? Like if you could have someone invent anything for babies, anything to make your life easy.
Do you know what's funny? I had wished that someone would have had invented this, and then I saw this the other day. And it was something that could rock the stroller or even move the stroller a little bit, like shake it back and forth a little bit, or even a car seat when you're stagnant, so then you don't have to
Mm.
do it. And I saw it was invented the other day. Literally, I'm not kidding you. I got an ad served to me for this the other day. You literally
Whoa.
clamp it on and it like just vibrates like this. So it moves it back and forth a little bit.
Oh, so that you don't have to be the
You
one,
don't
like,
have to constantly
so
be
like if
doing
you're at
that.
like a restaurant or something and baby's
Yep.
asleep in the thing, and then you don't have to be like, doing all the
Yep.
stuff.
Yep. I
Brilliant.
know. I was like, whoa, how is this
It's
just now being
amazing how
invented?
much genius comes out of just sheer laziness or
Oh, it's insane.
sheer, I want to do something else for 5 minutes, which I love.
Also, I think that like it's amazing how much even in the last 3 years, how much has been invented since
Yeah.
I even like it's crazy.
I want to know how our parents literally did it, because they
Dude, I think
had
about that all the time.
they had at best they had the little baby monitor sound
Hmm.
things that
Hmm.
they would like take
Even
to their friend's house next door while we slept,
yep,
and
yep.
just pray to God that if they heard us crying that they would like be
The
able to hear it
fact
throughout the merriment of a
the
party.
fact that they could not see us
Mhm.
gives me
Mhm.
such anxiety. And yet I
Mhm.
always think about if I didn't have that option, if I would have way less anxiety, right? Like it's almost like, do
Mm.
we have too much?
Yeah, that is a good
You
question.
know, it's crazy. Like,
I have
yeah.
a question. When you first had Hudson, you had that milk shaker thingy that would like make the formula bottle. Do you remember that?
Oh yeah. Hmm.
Thoughts on that?
Don't need it.
Okay. What about that grass thing that was like the dryer for the
I
bottles?
still use that.
Okay, that's what I thought. I was like trying to remember if you still had that, and I was
Yeah,
like,
I
I'm pretty
literally
sure
have
she
it
still
next to
has that. Is that
my
necessary? Do you feel?
yes.
Or do you just use it because it's there? Like, could you
Um
use something else?
You could literally use a paper towel if you wanted,
Okay.
just for your things to dry. Like for my second, for Ava, I was like, I'm not going to sit here and watch this machine make the formula when I can just literally pour it in. The way I made my life so much easier with my second one, like I was
Yes.
such a
Well,
ball of
we'll get to
anxiety with
that.
Hudson. Yeah.
We're definitely going
But
to get
with
to that, because there are, I think one of the
differences.
top questions was going from 1 to 2. Um,
Yeah.
okay. What did you think was going to be difficult, but wasn't difficult about having a baby and being a mom?
Um, hmm. Oh, I thought it was going to be so hard to figure out what they wanted or needed from me. Like I
Mm,
was so mind boggled when people were like, "No, you just know, like you know their different cries, you like know that stuff." And I was
right.
like, "No, like how do you there's no way."
Right.
And that was is so innate. You just
Yeah.
you're like, "Oh, I know exactly what cry means what. I know a hurt cry, I know a hungry cry, I know a poop cry, all that."
And it's so true. You really do. Like, I mean, I've seen you now with both of the babies, and they'll be like, to me, I'm hearing, mm, and then I hear, and you're like, okay, that first one was she has to poop. The
Yeah.
second one is she wants the blue bottle. And I'm just like, I
100%.
don't get how that's possible. But then you think about the fact that women are so in tune, like, and
Yeah, isn't
I'm
that
not comparing
crazy?
my my dogs to them, but I do know, I just, you get to know this
Yes.
other being and like what their different things mean,
It's
right?
so
And I think
true.
the same goes for moms with the babies, and I'm sure dads have it too, but I mean, I just think
But I
moms
really
are
think that
like,
moms have it a little bit
God,
more.
moms are so in tune. And I will say one of the biggest like advice things that I got from other moms was, you have no idea how intuitive you actually are
Yeah.
until you have your baby and you realize, oh my God, this is like second nature to
Mhm.
me. This
Mhm.
is truly like something that just like is unexplainable. And
Yeah.
it probably has a lot to do with just our DNA as women, and as like through thousands of years of raising children, and our ancestors raising babies. It's just been like ingrained in us to know
Yeah.
to do this.
It's wild. I also think as little girls in our culture,
Mm.
we oftentimes like they become an age where they can hold something and we give them a baby doll.
Yeah,
So it's
right.
like,
So true.
it's like we are almost raised with that like, "Well, take care of this. Hey,
Yeah.
you be gentle and you
Yes.
take care of this thing,"
And
and
we're
then you
so
finally
good
get
at
it.
that.
Dude, we're
You
so
know?
good. Yeah.
We're so like, women are so good
So good at literally
at
everything, like,
caretaking
I fear.
everything, but definitely caretaking is just like Not that you should have to be running around taking care of everyone all the time, but if someone puts you, I would rather have a woman, well, pretty much in charge of anything, but I would rather have a woman as my like caretaker than like any
Right.
man, to be
Right.
honest. Like I hate
Right.
to say, but it's true.
Right.
So what did you think was not going to be difficult but ended up being difficult?
Gosh. I mean, definitely. I think the sleep deprivation, but it's
Mm,
funny because the sleep deprivation with Hudson was such a shock because it was 0 to 1, and I
mm,
was in also major grief. So
right,
it was so bad and so escalated that it
right,
made Ava look like a freaking walk in the park.
right.
However, my husband would say the absolute opposite.
Which is so
So
funny.
it
Do you feel like the grief maybe exacerbated it for
Oh,
you
for
more?
sure, for sure. He
Because
he
obviously
thinks
he was sad about it, but like
but it
there's
wasn't
such a huge
his.
difference. Yeah, it wasn't his
Yeah.
family member. Yeah, like that.
Like, if you asked which baby was easier, he would say Hudson and I would say Ava.
Wow.
Isn't that funny? I know, with, like, sleep and everything. He's
So
like,
even the
"Hudson."
between the two parents, it could be totally different, you
Uh-huh.
know, like a totally
Yeah.
different experience.
Yeah, it's
That is
so
so crazy.
wild.
What can you say about the sleep deprivation if there's like a mom out there who's nervous for that?
Oh, it goes by quick. Like, I know it doesn't seem
Mm.
like it because 'cause you're like even when people say, "Oh, like, once you hit the 6-month, 7-month mark and you're in, like, week 2," you're like, 6 months? It
Yeah,
just
yeah.
seems, like, so crazy.
Right.
But then and you look in, like, the grand scheme of things and you're like, "Oh, it went by so fast," and I totally forgot about it. Also that this is so sleep in babies is so controversial.
It is.
I am a
It is a hot topic.
huge proponent for sleep training.
Mhm.
And
Which
that
is
is
your right, by the way.
yes. And it's your right if you want to co-sleep. It is your right if you want to go and sleep with your kid. It is your
Mhm.
right to do whatever you want to do. But I
Yes.
personally sleep
Because
train both my kids.
a happy mom is a happy baby. And
Exactly.
a mom that get here's the thing too is like you got to think about the fact that like if a mom is anxious about the way that her baby is sleeping, it doesn't matter how the baby's sleeping. If the mom is anxious, she's gonna get less sleep. So it's like
Yeah, and the
why would
baby
you
can feel that.
right. And so it's like why would you force any woman to do it any type of way that doesn't ring true for her? It's ultimately going
Exactly.
to be so bad for everybody
Yeah.
involved, you know?
And Brian and I literally we value our sleep
Yeah.
so much. Like probably
Right.
more than any of our friends. Like we will go home
Mm,
early to make sure we get a good night's sleep more
yeah.
than anyone I really know in my life. Like we
Yeah.
really value our sleep. Even when we have people over, I'm like, I'm tired. I'm going to go up. I want to make sure I get my full
Yeah,
sleep.
even if her sister flies 3,000 miles and was only
Oh,
there for an hour and a half, she's going to Hunter's going to
more
sleep.
so then. Yeah.
Even more
I'll go to bed
so
earlier.
than
Um So yeah, I think sleep training, we sleep trained both kids and it was
Mhm.
so hard the first couple nights,
Yeah.
but then you're like, "Oh." Because for me, again, I'm speaking on me, you have to teach that skill of, "Oh, when I cry, when I wake up and I cry, I can go back to sleep." That's an
Right.
option. Or
Yes.
I can cry and wait for mom to come in or whatever. Of course, you do get in tune with the kind of cries. If my baby was crying and crying and crying and crying and crying, screaming, crying. Obviously, I'm going to go in there, right?
Yeah,
But
yeah,
like
yeah.
I would do check-ins and I would go in, smell her diaper or his diaper, make sure nothing was wrong, check the forehead, and then be like, okay, it's time for bed. Going back to sleep now. Good night. And
Right.
then they kind of learn that way.
Right.
Another thing I will say with that people told me that I would get and I would get used to was breastfeeding. And I think it was the
Mm,
hardest thing in the world. I did it for 9 weeks with my first and I was the most severely depressed while
yeah.
doing it.
Yeah. I
I
can
had
say as someone
something
who saw you during that time, you were
yes.
not you.
I had something, I don't know the medical name for it. So when you have letdown,
Mm,
you get a sense of doom that comes
yeah.
over you.
Right.
And it is a friend of mine had it too, and I forget the name of it, but there is a medical name for it.
Right. Well, there it's also women who like if you touch your breast or something or your nipple or like accidentally graze it, and sometimes you feel that too. So it's
Yeah.
like I think it's something that women get even if you're not necessarily breastfeeding, there is a correlation between that sense of like doom and dread
Yeah.
with the breast. Like there is a
It was so
psychological, we should look up what that is, because that
there's a
is
certain name for it. Like type up like breastfeeding when you get let down. Like it's like this like sense of like oh, even thinking about it is like it's wild.
dysphoric milk ejection reflex.
Yes. Yep.
DMER.
Yep.
It's a condition
Deemer.
that affects people who are lactating. It causes negative emotions when your milk is let down during a feeding.
Yep. That
Yep.
happened to me for like 9 months. And I was like, oh, this must just be grief. Like, it must just be grief. And then I was like, my doctor was like, because I saw
Mm,
lactation consultants. I tried everything. I did the cookies. I did everything. And I tried. I was pumping and it was just really bad. So
yeah.
finally, I just stopped. Also, because grief really dried up my supply.
Mm.
And
Oh,
so
it's
I
a
just
drop in
stopped.
dopamine. So it's a drop in dopamine is what happens.
Okay. It's
So
so
that's
interesting. I
it
had
is so
no
interesting.
idea about it, dude.
Yeah, I had not heard about it until you told me,
Yeah.
and it's crazy that that's not something that
That
is
people talk
talked
about.
about. Okay, because okay, guys, I want y'all to hear this. It's called DMER, is like the shortened version, but it's dysphoric milk ejection reflex. So if you're
Mhm.
somebody, just keep that in the back of your mind if you are a woman breastfeeding, because the one thing that I think drove me the most crazy when you first were like when you were pregnant, when you had Hudson, was so many people about the breastfeeding and like the
Oh,
pushback that you got and the
yeah.
unsolicited opinions about it. It like actually enrages me because
Yeah.
y'all know there's nothing that we hate more than people who feel like they are entitled to somebody else's body or like
Right.
what to do with it. It made me so irrationally angry at those people because it's like it's just like so upsetting because it's such a personal thing, and every
Right.
mom is like wants to just do their very best. I've never met a mom who didn't want to do her very best. That's, I'll tell you that right
Right.
the fuck
Or
now.
feed their kid what
Or
however
feed
way
their
they had to.
kid, exactly. And I know that it was such a point of like you felt so like, what do I kind of do, because everyone's
Mhm.
telling me, breast is best and all that
Well,
bullshit,
even
and
our
then
mom, like, and
yeah,
nothing against mom, but like, even our mom, she had a very different breastfeeding journey. So she
yeah,
would be, because she's breastfed all of us, and then she breastfed our brother until he was like, what, two and a half.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Um, and she had such a beautiful journey.
yeah,
And so all I heard was that. So I was like, oh my gosh. And she was like, it's like euphoric. Like you just, it's that bonding time. And
yeah,
I felt so bad that I didn't feel that. I was like, oh
yeah.
my God. I actually, the day that I stopped breastfeeding and started feeding Hudson formula was the day that I felt like I could actually bond with him.
Wow.
Like I got closer to him because I dreaded it and I didn't like feeding time. I didn't like that time. I didn't like that I had to get up and pump and all that stuff. And so the day that I started giving him formula, I was like, oh my God, I can sit here and enjoy him and look at him and look at his eyes and study him and not be in this like weird depression dread,
That is
you
so
know?
interesting that you were able
Yeah.
to get out of that, like, kind of toxic mindset for a minute and just enjoy your baby,
Yeah, just
you know?
and had I had listened to my gut earlier and
Mm,
what I really wanted to do, which was formula feed, I probably would have saved those weeks of feeling that way.
right.
And so this all to say, like, if you are struggling with that, just know that there's even, you can try all the things and still struggle and know that it's okay to stop if that's the path for you.
Mm,
Both my children are 99 percentile in weight and height. So, like,
mhm.
formula isn't gonna,
Yeah,
like, there's a lot of formula fed babies out there, and
yeah,
both my kids are smart as can be.
yeah.
Um, and there's so much like formula out there that doesn't have all the crap in it that like we've seen in the past. So
Right.
don't feel bad
Yes.
at all. Also,
Right.
even if there is, even if it's the cheapest one on the market and that's all you can afford, then that's all you can fucking afford. And do not feel bad.
Because fed is best, right?
Fed is best. Like,
Fed is best. Just feed the damn kid.
feed the baby.
Mhm. Mm. I also think one thing that is cool about when you formula feed, is that you can pass the baby off to people.
Oh,
Like,
yeah, it's great.
because, like, and listen, this is going to go into also boundaries. I know that that's definitely a discussion. But like, I loved when you were like, do you want to feed them? And I was like, hell yeah, because like, it's a cool
Yeah.
opportunity for like the extended family. Now, if only you want to feed your baby and not let anyone else do it,
fine.
absolutely go for it. That's not what I'm saying. But as somebody who like you would be like, do you want to feed her? Do you want to feed him? That was cool. That was like a cool
Totally.
moment, especially if you like want to be an involved family member to like also have a moment to like bond with them and feed them and like just like have
Totally.
that extra cool experience. So just, in addition to maybe some benefits that people don't really think about, it is cool that you can like give someone else baby and
Totally. And then
you
have
can
that
go
bonding
fucking
time.
frolic for a minute.
Frolic. Oh my God. Yeah. Are you kidding?
Why can't you just put the baby when a newborn is a newborn and moms are like, I haven't had a shower in 2 weeks. Why can't you just put the baby in like one of those bouncy things,
Yeah.
like outside of your shower and just shower?
I don't know.
Because I would
Uh,
do that, but I don't know
yeah.
if
That's
I'm
what I
just
did.
thinking that okay.
No,
So that's my thing. I've
that's
always
what
been
I
like,
did too.
why can't you just put the baby in like a DockATot? And I know you're not supposed to put the baby on the DockATot and leave them or anything. That's not what I'm saying.
Right. I love because
How
you just know all the safe sleep stuff too. It's so true. It's
I
like
do know all the safe sleep stuff.
there was many a time that I would put and if they start crying, then they start crying like, but they're safe. They have,
Yeah,
you know what I mean? They're there. They're right in front of you. You can see them.
that's what I mean.
But I also think it's also like what you can prioritize and also how much you're struggling as a mother
Yeah, there's a lot
with a
involved
baby.
with
You
it.
know what I mean? If
Yeah,
the partner is involved, if you've been up all night and it's only been you and you're like, my only time to rest is right now. And I don't want to use that time taking a
right.
shower, you know?
My fear of ever having a kid is that I feel like I'm just going to pawn off my baby too much.
It's actually so funny because I think you would be the absolute opposite and you would be like,
Really?
this is my baby. Do not touch
Yeah.
him.
Right.
Do
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
not.
Yeah. Probably, probably.
What it's
But
funny
to
because
people I
they,
trust though, I would be like, take him.
yes, I think it's funny
Probably.
because do you have like a preconceived idea of how you would be as a mom? Like I always thought that I would be the one that was like, "Oh, honey, it's fine." Like, "Oh, like you know how in movies they're like, go talk to your dad. Like that your
Yeah.
dad's going to take care of it." Okay, I'm
Right.
the dad.
Right.
I'm
Yes.
the
That's
dad
so
here in this
true.
household and Brian is the mom. Like I
You
am the
so
one
are.
who like lays down the hammer and Brian I'm
Mhm.
like Hudson's like, "I want dad to put me to bed." I'm like, "Why? Cuz you guys sit up and watch YouTube videos? Like is that
Of
why?"
course, because it's
Yeah.
fun, because dad's
Yeah.
fun.
And mom reads
I
books.
Right, of course. I definitely thought maybe back in the day, but now after what I know and what I've seen with all of my friends becoming parents, no. I have no idea how I would be because
I know.
I just don't think, and this is why anytime I say anything about parenting or kids or anything, I preface it by saying I have no idea because
Right.
I know now. The one thing I do know is that I don't know. And that
Right.
is what is like, that's how you learn and that's how you like know you're an adult because you realize like, oh, you don't actually know how you would be because you may think
Oh
you
no,
are
for sure.
and then you're a totally different way.
For sure. For sure.
I just fear that I might be someone who pawns my baby off a lot. And I'm just like, I got people in my like comments like, yeah, I just saw you down at Stonehouse for like the fifth night in a row. Like, didn't you just have a
All of a
kid?
sudden you go out so much.
All of a sudden I'm just out, dude. I'm in the streets. And everyone's like, what the fuck happened? Go used to be a homebody. Okay, so we're gonna get into questions from our listeners because this is where we're gonna give you guys the meat that you're looking for.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the very first question made me giggle. So she says, I'm due with my first baby in December. What the fuck do I do?
Okay, if I could have written a question, I
I
think
mean,
that's.
quite literally, what a
Do you know
question.
what's so funny is like that is basically, I think as a mom, you never stop asking that question. Like, I have a
No.
3.5-year-old and a 1.5-year-old, and I'm literally like, what the fuck do I do? Like, every stage, I'm like, what the fuck do I do? And then every moment, you're just like, I guess we're just gonna go ahead and wing this. Like, we're
Yeah.
gonna straight up wing it. I have
Mm-hmm.
no idea,
Yep.
but we're gonna wing it. And I think that is motherhood in a shell, and I don't think it ever stops.
Right.
So,
You're
like,
just kind of always winging it.
you're always winging it. No one knows. Here's the thing about motherhood. No one knows what they're doing.
Right. The
Okay.
the the
It's a
cornerstone
farce.
of this conversation is
No one
no
knows what they're
one
doing.
really knows because everyone's instincts are different too. And I think every
Yeah,
baby's
that part.
different.
Every baby is different. Every baby is so different, dude. Look at Ava and Hudson. Couldn't be
Yes.
too
And my
further.
goddaughters
Yeah.
are totally different than Ava and
Yes.
Hudson. It's like,
Yes.
and so are my other nephews. Like they have obviously similarities, but like
We were
I
different
talked
kids
to the
and we were raised.
moms.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. You and I are completely different, but similar in so many ways. But it's just like, yeah,
But like
yeah,
as babies, and kids, we were very different. I was
totally,
very shy, very
totally.
demure.
Very shy, very demure, very mindful.
I
Okay.
really was.
You really were very demure, very mindful, very shy. All those things. Yes.
Yeah. And you
Very
were more of
precious.
like a snappy, spicy, fire little one, which I'm
I
sure you guys are all
love that
shocked.
I love that that's what I got because I one time ran away from mom in a store.
That's the
And
only
then
story
I'm
I've
the
ever heard.
spiciest bad kid.
You're not a bad kid though. You're
No,
not
I
a
wasn't
bad
bad. I
kid,
was just
but
like
you had,
my parents were first time parents. They didn't know what they were doing. And guys, I
and
turned out
that,
just fine.
can I just tell you, and we've had this conversation before, first time parents and oldest kids who had to
Mm-hmm.
deal with the first time parents are different kids. I'm
Yeah,
telling you,
totally.
because even with like, okay, switching Hudson to a big boy bed, by the time that comes with Ava, I'm like, it's fine, whatever.
Yeah.
With Hudson, dude, I sobbed uncontrollably one night. If Brian could come in
Mhm.
here, I can tell you, I was hyperventilating because we took his
No,
rocking chair out of his room because it didn't fit. I was literally had hives up to my neck,
don't.
hyperventilating. And I was like, let's put it back. Let's put it back. Let's put everything back. I'm not ready for this. I'm not ready. Literally one night. And Brian had to calm me down. This was like a 2-hour talk. I didn't even tell you about this.
Oh
And
my
I was
god.
hyperventilating. And then like after, a few days later, I'm like, it's fine. It's all chill. It's fine. And I
Yeah.
just know when it comes to Ava, I'm going to be like, all right, girl, let's go.
Yeah, like, let's
You're
switch it out.
2. We're going to put you in a big girl bed,
Right, right. It's
you know?
totally a different experience, and it's interesting because that is the number probably 2 question, if not number 1 question, was what's your advice from going from 1 to 2 and, like, starting over with second baby, third baby? Like, what would you say
I
is your, like, top 3 pieces of advice for that?
So I was talking to a friend of mine that I ran into at Starbucks the other day who his wife is expecting
Mm,
and they're second. And I told him, I said, oh, it's so much easier. You're going to
mm,
love it. It's so much easier. And he was like, really? He was like, you're the first person I've heard that from. And I was like, oh, no. Here's the thing, there's so many scare tactics out there.
yeah,
A second baby, yes, you are. If you have a really hands on partner, you're playing man to man
yeah,
and you don't have as much of that, hey, you watch them, I'll go do this, until they're a little bit older and then that person can take both kids or nap time, whatever. But I found going from 0 to 1 way
mm,
harder
right,
than 1 to 2. 1 to 2 was more of the same. It's more diapers, it's more feeding, it's all that. I felt seasoned, I felt confident. I went into it and I was like bada boom bada bing. Like I
right,
got this, right?
yeah,
Um I think giving yourself that grace and knowing that it could also be that way. It could
yeah,
also be way easier than you
yeah,
imagined. And I think that like
right,
I wish going into it I was so scared
right,
and because I had only ever heard the other side of, oh, it's so hard because it's just go, go, go. Now there's 2 of them,
right,
but it could also be really cool
right, and be
and
fine.
be fine. And
Yeah.
also, um, wait because it's going to be the best thing ever. Like, yes, they're going
Mm,
to argue. Yes, they're going to push each other down. There's gonna be moments where you're like, what the hell is going on?
yeah.
But there's gonna be those moments that override all of that where it's so special and so incredible. And because we are so close,
Mm,
I feel so grateful that I get to give them a sibling that they're so close with. You know what
right.
I mean? And
Yeah.
like, I'm like, y'all better be best friends forever or
Y'all better
else.
be, because mom did not go through all that to have you to be fighting or to be hating on each other when you're older. Well,
Seriously.
it's funny that you say that. And these are all, man, these are just, you guys
God,
see
we're
how
just
these are just
flowing.
seamless.
Do you
They're
see?
seamless. What do you do about sibling fights over toys? This was, well, she says, what do you do about sibling fights over toys? I'm struggling here.
So, Brian and I, especially as Ava's been older and she can understand more now. So
Mm,
before it was like Ava's a baby. We're not going to like reprimand her. She's a baby. But now she understands what she's doing, right? She will
right.
purposely do things. And so will Hudson.
Mm,
And so now we have kind of looked at this each situation and been like, well, what's fair? Did Hudson come over and take that toy out of her hand? That's not fair. So I am
yeah.
going to go and get the toy from Hudson and give it back to Ava and then say, hey, she was not done with that. If
Mm,
you're going to be upset about it, that's right. But do you see how I took that back away from you? It doesn't feel nice. So kind of like teaching them in the moment. Of course, there's times where I'm just like, y'all figure it out. Cause like,
yeah.
you
Right.
know,
Right.
um, but, we kind of like look in the moment of, okay,
Like take it
well,
case
yeah,
by
take
case,
take
kind of.
case by case. A lot of
Hmm.
times they each want the same toy, so like we'll give them turns and stuff like that.
Turns is
Um,
good. Turns is a good suggestion. Like here, you
yeah,
do that. You'll be like, oh, well, Ava's playing with him right now. You can play with it in a little bit. And then
yeah,
usually that like does work.
or
He's
if
like,
he
okay.
wants something, I'll be like, why don't you go find her another toy and
Mm,
see if she wants to play with that instead, and she'll give you this one,
right.
and that seems to work.
Are timeouts out of fashion now? Do we not do timeouts with kids?
Dude, it's so funny you mention this because I was so against timeouts.
Yeah.
And now I think not that I do timeouts, but I will do if Hudson's really the only one that's going on timeouts because she's not quite old enough yet.
Right.
Um, and
It's
also
not
it's not like really
Brian's not going on
timeouts.
any.
Brian will, yeah. Brian is the
Brian's
number one
getting
going on
so.
timeout. Um, Hudson, it's not really a timeout. It's just, hey, I need you to go and sit right there
Mm,
because everyone in here needs a moment because what you just did was really naughty.
right.
And I need you to sit there and breathe for a moment. And a mommy needs to breathe because then I'm going to come over and have a talk with you. And he
Right.
knows that. A lot of times he's more than happy to go and sit down. And it's
Yeah.
so funny because he's like, if it's really bad, we'll be like, okay, we're going to go to bed early tonight. And he's so happy about that.
I
Like,
know that like the punishments that normally work on kids like don't
uh,
necessarily like Hudson's like, okay, yeah, let's go to bed. Like, remember when he was out here and oh my God, remember when we went to take him to Froyo and he was like, it was like
yes.
a little past his bedtime and he was horrified. Like most kids, if you told them we're gonna go to bed later tonight because we're gonna go get Froyo, Hudson was like,
He
what?
was like,
Like
I just want to go to bed.
I just want to go to bed. And I was like, wow, dude, they just
I
make them
know.
different these days.
Tell me your parents value sleep without telling me your
It
parents
was
value
so
sleep.
funny. We had to like talk him into it. And the whole time he was just kind of like, I
He
guess we're
was
gonna
like
do
bummed. And
this.
then as soon as we
Yeah.
got back, he was like ran to his bed.
Yes. He
I
is
know.
the best little sleeper.
So funny.
Which age would you say has this one says, which age has been the hardest so far that you struggled with?
I think it was when Hudson was about like 2.5
Mm,
because and it wasn't like a terrible twos. It was more of one day he just had more to say
mm,
and ways that he wanted to do things. And I was used to him just following along my every cue and demand.
right. Yeah.
And that was really weird for me to come to terms with because it was the first time I'd ever experienced that. So with Ava, it was more like, she's two, she's not even two yet, but she's, 1.5 and she's going to be like that,
Yeah. Right.
So
Yes.
I think
Once
it was
again,
that
it's the
the first
first
child,
kid is
dude.
like shocking, and then the second kid is a piece of cake, dude.
I'm
We
telling
love to
you,
see it.
birth order is so for
It's
real.
it is such a crazy concept. I love to actually have someone on here to talk about birth
We
order. And
should.
yeah, if you guys know anyone who talks about this on socials, we'll do some research too. But that would be really interesting to have on.
Yeah.
How do you? One girl says, "How do you handle giving attention to both children equally?" That's a good question.
This is a really good question. So, if they're both with me at the same time, I
Mm,
obviously have to it's a juggling act.
right.
However, my husband and I really prioritize, for instance, Hudson had a birthday party yesterday. I took him and then I took him for the remainder of the morning. Brian took Ava to go and do something, just them two. So like we do special outings with them when we can, so that they feel special and that they feel like, oh, this is, you know, I still have all of mommy's attention
Right.
kind of thing.
Yeah.
And we're also really good even when we're home, I'll tell Brian like, "Hey, it's been really Ava heavy with me lately. Like, can you go and play with her and do something, and I'll sit here and snuggle with Hudson." And you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
we're really good at kind of communicating that, um, because Ava's very much clingy to me.
Very.
And sometimes I
Yes.
feel like, oh, Hudson doesn't, like, he's probably wondering, you know,
Why does
the
she hate
fuck.
me now? No.
God. So
Oh my
yeah,
God, no. Those kids, I feel like they both are clingy to you a little bit though. Like they
yeah,
want mommy.
but Hudson definitely favors Brian, and
Really?
yeah, and Ava definitely favors me
Oh, that's for
right now.
sure.
Right
Yeah,
now,
right now. That's so
yeah,
interesting. Well, they all
yeah,
go through phases too. I feel like
totally, and that's
one
totally
time I
normal.
visit and Ava's like daddy, all daddy, and
Totally,
one time I visit and Hudson's all mommy. Like it just kind of
yeah. It
switches
ebbs and
around.
flows.
And don't and like how what do you say to people who may feel type of way about that?
Oh well, that first happened, I remember when Hudson first told me he didn't want me to put him to bed,
Oh my
which by the way
God.
doesn't do anything to me.
I would cry.
I cried. No, I cried.
I
I
would
literally went
too.
downstairs and I cried. And I literally, my sweet 2.5-year-old son was just like, "Why are you crying? Like, I'm kidding. Like, I don't really mean that." You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Right.
But also we're not the type where if he's saying, "Oh, I want mommy to put me to bed," or "I want daddy to put me to bed," no, you're gonna get who's putting you to bed tonight.
Yeah. Sorry.
You
Sorry.
know?
Sorry to
Sorry.
disappoint. Yeah.
Yeah.
But this one's tacked in tonight.
Tonight's
So
books night. Yeah.
yes, I
Sorry.
fear that
I fear
mom
we're not
is the
watching
manager
YouTube all night.
on site today.
Yeah,
Well,
literally.
okay. So these are going to be questions about just there's two really like heavy popular questions. One, sex after baby. A lot
Mhm.
of women were saying like they're nervous about it. They don't know if that like feeling is still going to be there. How do you keep it going? What is your recommendation for that?
Oh my God, keep it going. The moment I got cleared, my husband literally that night was like, "Well, let's do the damn thing."
Right.
Um,
What
I
about your
think
confidence with it?
my confidence with it was, of course, iffy.
Mm,
But I think that's also comes into play with like telling your partner, like, "Oh God, sorry, I might not feel really 100%." And hopefully you have that partner that's like, "I think you're sexy no matter what,"
right.
which thank God Brian's like that. Um, I think it is obviously weird to get into a groove of things, especially with how things feel down there if you had a vaginal delivery. Um, but I do think it's such a priority. I think with kids, it's so easy to be swept up and to be tired and all that stuff. But one thing that Brian and I always say is like, we are the foundation and the kids
Mm,
are the house that's built on top. And like,
mm,
we have to prioritize ourselves. We have to. And
yeah.
even if I'm tired, and a lot of times I'm tired, guys, I still put forth that effort because I know after and during, it's fun, of course. And then after, I'm like, oh, I feel even that much closer.
Right.
Like I
Right.
feel closer. I feel good. He's happy. Like we just feel connected.
Yeah.
And I
That
think
closeness
that
is so
that is so
important.
important. Oh my God. It's
Yeah.
so important. Like,
Yeah.
uh, yeah, God, my biggest advice is even if you don't want to, like, just do it. It's
Yeah.
like
Or and like maybe just be very vocal with your partner about being like, I'm probably gonna need a little extra uh
love,
flattery.
like
I'm gonna need a little extra
affirmation.
affirmations. Like I'm gonna be feeling a type of way. I'm gonna need you, whatever's going through your mind about how attracted you are to me, you're gonna need to speak that shit out loud because
Yeah,
I
yeah,
need to hear that because I have a lot of mental like being kind of maybe hard on myself right
yeah.
now because things are
Right,
changing. I need you to start to counteract that extra bullshit in my brain
right.
and help me out here, bro.
Also,
You want a
I will
blowjob?
say,
Help me out. Help me help
right,
you.
right. No,
And I've
literally.
always said that.
You've always said that since the
Yeah.
jump. since the womb.
Since the
I
womb.
will say also that I feel very fortunate in the way that my husband and I are 50-50. I don't know if I would be doing the sex if he was not as helpful.
Yeah.
So like I
Fair enough.
understand the women who are like, no.
Mm-hmm.
I would
I get
also
it.
maybe leverage that and be like, sure, tonight, fine, but do the dishes, put the kids to bed,
Right. Yep. There you go.
you know?
Okay. Next. Well, we have 2 more questions.
Okay.
What makes you feel successful as a mom and what makes you feel not so great?
I'll start with not so great. What makes me feel not so great is when I get upset with them and I can't control my own emotions
Mm,
while they're simultaneously not controlling their own
right.
emotions, which
Just humans
happens
being
sometimes.
humans.
Humans being humans when
A
you're
big human
literally
and a little human both being human.
yeah, and you're just both like absolutely can't get a grip.
Yeah.
Um and what makes me feel successful is literally every waking moment with them. Like
Mm,
just them as humans. I just
yeah.
that's it. Everything that they do, the air that they breathe, the way that they are, as I'm feel successful with them.
I think that when I look at them and I feel like pride for the way that you've raised them is when I see Hudson interact with other kids.
Yeah.
For whatever that's worth. Like
Mhm. Mhm.
he interacts so well with other kids and he's so
Yeah.
kind and sweet and he shares and he is like so his like emotional intelligence is very high and he's very
Yes.
like sensitive to what other people want. That makes me
Yes.
be like, okay, see now that and maybe this is
Yeah.
just my bias because this is how I would want, my kid to be. But like
Yeah.
I'm like, that is a kid that's being raised in a way that you guys should be so proud, you know?
Oh, well, thank you for saying that. That's so
And if your
nice.
kid is not that way, that's okay too.
Well, I'll have you know, Ava
Um,
today went around the park saying every toy there at the park was hers. She said mine to every single toy. So like
and just goes to show how different kids can be. And it's also just, it's not your fault if they're crazy. Okay. And then the last question, and my God, did we get this question a lot? Do you wake a sleeping baby?
oh my God. And you know what's so funny, Michaela? I think I'm the only one in the world who did, and
Who
who still
wakes a
does.
sleeping baby? Yeah.
I have my kids on such a schedule. You would think I am the lieutenant in an army. One of my
It's so true.
closest friends, who I saw in California, she was asking me, she was like, "So what's your schedule like?" And I was like, "Yeah, like they sleep 7 to 7, and then I wake them up around 7." She was like, "You wake them up?" And I was like,
Right.
"Yeah." She was like, "Wait, like you wake them up?" And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
"Yeah." I don't,
Mm-hmm.
there's no, hey, they slept till 8:30, 9:30. No, 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 no. You
No.
wake up at 7 because you have nap at 1 o'clock. So
Right.
we're going to keep that schedule.
There
You
you go.
better believe it. So even when they were babies, if you have a nap at 9, you're going to wake up and you're 6 months old, you're going to wake up at 6:30. Like
Right.
you know what I mean? I was very schedule oriented. I think I just had to for my anxiety. So for me, yeah.
Yeah, for you, you do wake up a sleeping baby. And
Yeah.
again, guys, it's all dependent on how you want to operate, kind of
That's
parent
it.
you want to be. 9 times out of 10, like you're going to eventually be doing the right thing because it's what you feel. And
And what's right is so
basically,
subjective.
motherhood is just like vibes, you
No,
know?
literally. Like literally go off the
You're like,
vibes.
it's literally just like go off the vibes, is like the overarching commentary.
Like literally what are the vibes?
Just what are the vibes, dude? And just
Yeah.
respond to those. Well, thank you so much for being obviously so open about this.
Thank you for being here on the podcast,
And
Hunter.
thank you, Hunter, for
Mother
being
Hunter.
here, Mother Hunter.
A different
And thank
Hunter.
you guys for all of these questions. They were fabulous.
Yeah.
And it was so fun to be able to like dive. I feel like I'm always asking Hunter like random questions. Like I'm always just
No, I
like,
love it.
is it weird when you do this? Or like, what about this? Like I just have so many questions all the time. And
Yeah.
I was like, there is no way that an actual mother or soon to be mother doesn't have a million questions
Oh,
too,
totally.
because
Totally.
it is a crazy time.
Guys, let us know if you like this kind of episode. And we can always do more. And also make sure you're a subscriber on Patreon. We do 2 episodes a month.
Mhm.
And we also drop our episodes early with video footage. And it's only $5 a month. And this Patreon coming up, Michaela and I are going to be on the road. So it'll be a fun one.
Road dogs.
Road doggies. So go and check
Road
it out.
doggies. All right, guys, we love you so much. Thank you for listening, and we will see you in next week's episode. Bye. Thank you guys so much for listening. You can catch a new episode of Model Citizen every Thursday. And please don't forget to follow the podcast so you don't miss any of the action. We want to hear from you, so please leave a rating and review and follow us on socials for all the behind-the-scenes action at Hunter McGrady and Michaela McGrady. And don't forget, you are worthy, you are loved, and you are capable of doing all wonderful things. Bye, guys.